Hello folks, this is Derek from Inflatable SUP Authority, and today we are testing for the first time in 2024 the Gili Komodo 11. Now this is an inflatable board that is kind of like an all-around paddleboard slash kayak hybrid. So today we're going to be going through putting it through the tests. Right now it is actually February 20 something. So, you know, we're in Canada, water's a bit cold, so hence why I have the wetsuit stuff. But we're not gonna stray too far from shore. Yeah, let's get started. All right, so we have optimized the setup a little bit. I put this a little bit closer, so it feels a little more kayaky. I was having a little bit of problems with the adjustment. So as you can see, this clip right here, it easily goes onto the D-rings, but for this guy is having a little more trouble. So my first suggestion to you is adjust this accordingly when you are on shore and you're setting up the package. But otherwise, my impressions so far is that I do like the little booster seat that the Gili Komodo 11 comes with. It feels, I'm more upright, so it doesn't feel like you have so much strain on your back. I do appreciate that they included the little booster seat with the kayak seat. The package, of course, comes with a kayak paddle, kayak seat, booster seat, and this little footrest thing, which as of now the jury's still a little bit out on, but I also need to get that in a bit of a better adjustment place for my legs. All right. So we're gonna do some tracking tests just with the kayak hybrid setup here. So we'll see how many paddles aside in kayak formation this thing can go. So let's try it out. So I'll get a bit of momentum, and we're gonna use that launch as kind of like a point. So now that we're nice and straight, let's do the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd say about 6. Okay, let's go back to the middle. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this test will be a little bit flawed. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. The water is kind of pushing me from the back a bit. I have a feeling I'm at a bit of an angle. So, but nonetheless, we're gonna stay in kayak formation about 5-6 strokes aside. We're gonna start testing some other boards in the kayak formation, and we're gonna start comparing them. So right now I don't have a huge amount to compare on, but I mean, just from initial impression, if I was going into like a Pelican recreational kayak, I do feel that this thing tracks a little bit better due to the fins that are actually the 3-fin setup that is in the water. So I'm paddling a little bit against the tide here. Kayak's feeling good. Actually, I will say, for those that do yoga, right now I'm feeling the most comfortable sitting on the booster seat in like crisscross leg formation. This actually feels pretty nice. I have been doing more yoga, so this feels comfortable for me. Maybe won't be the same story for you, but just something I sort of noticed while I was paddling. This is right now, with what I have on water, this is what feels the most comfortable to me currently, but I'll have to report back in where I can properly put that right into the little straps there. All right. Now we're gonna do just a little maneuverability test. We're just gonna basically do a reverse stroke via kayak format. I mean, I could do a J stroke, but it's not gonna be as effective. I'm just gonna do a normal stroke on this, reverse stroke on the side, and see how many takes for a 360. Once again, I think this test is going to be a little bit flawed, so take with a grain of salt. This tide is coming in against me, so as soon as the board is turning, there will be a little bit more turn. So just letting you guys know. All right, let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So about 7 1/4. We'll just call it even 7 strokes for reverse strokes for a 360. Yeah, not too bad. Again, I think this number will be different whenever I'm stand-up paddleboarding because I'll have a lot more range of motion with my stroke. So yeah, let's go into paddleboard formation now. All right, welcome to Gili Komodo 11 paddleboard formation. So right now, I feel a little more comfortable. I feel like the deck is now less cluttered with stuff. So I feel a little bit more expansive, more free. So we're gonna try to stand on this baby and see what happens. Let's do this. There we go. Yeah, the board feels pretty nice actually. Like going side to side. Feels like a fairly stable platform for sure. And one of the things that I did say about the Gili Komodo 10.6 was that I felt that bigger SUP yogis may have a little bit more trouble with it. So it's a great thing that they made the Komodo 11 because that extra 6 inches makes a big deal. You can put whatever joke you want into there, but yeah, it still has a lot of the same stuff as the original Komodo, which SUP yogis will like the entire deck pad covers pretty much the entire board, which is really nice. And yeah, just from my impressions right here, standing feels pretty good. Like I don't feel wobbly. To be honest, I wouldn't really do this test with like a wobbly board whenever it's like February in freaking Canada. But Gili Komodo I feel more than comfortable on, like I'm doing side to side. Let's try a bit of bounce. I don't want to bounce it too much because my cell phone is attached onto it. And that has like my life on there. So, but overall, like board feels pretty sturdy. Compared to, yeah, like I'd say it's similar levels to the original Komodo. Maybe a tad down from the Gili Mino 11.6, but that's also strengthened with a little bit better materials. It has carbon side rails. This one does not. But it's a very stable board. Yeah, doing some bouncing, feels good. Overall, yeah, this is good stability. I'd say like, honestly, 8.5, 9 out of 10, just based on initial impression. All right, now that we're kind of pushing against the tide, I can now kind of let it drag me to destination. So got a little bit to go, so this is perfect. So now it's time to do some maneuverability tests. So let's just do a reverse 360, a reverse sweep stroke, and for a 360 and see how many paddles it does. I believe the Komodo did 5. I'll have to double check. I'll put it in the video, but okay. Anywho, let's do this. Oh, and I see a seal too. That's cool. Okay. Three. Wow. 3. That's pretty good. Now, I would take this with a grain of salt. I think the tide pushing the board definitely helps. I think if I was to do this in a still lake, it'd probably be 4.5, so we're gonna have to test that. All right, now we're going to do some side paddles. So let's see how many it takes. Just want to straighten out this board, give it a tiny bit of momentum before I do that. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's about 12. Which is actually a pretty darn respectable score for a paddleboard that is 11 feet in length and has a triple fin setup with two 4.5-inch side fins and a 9-inch touring fin. A pretty respectable score, I must say. Which now bring us to our tracking test. Okay, now we're gonna do a tracking test. We have the tide pushing us forwards. So we're gonna use my dad, the guy standing on the dock over there, as kind of a point. Don't know if you can see him. So we're gonna see how many strokes aside before I have to correct. Again, this test will be a little bit flawed because of the tide, but we're gonna give it an honest go. All right, starting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll say 6. Now, let's try the other side. Get a little bit in line here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so about 6 strokes aside. As I stated again, this might be a bit slightly flawed due to the tide, but at least these are the initial numbers, and it did do a little bit better than the Komodo 10.6 in that, which I believe it was 5 strokes aside, which makes total sense because the board is 6 inches smaller in length. So I was mentioning the shape of the board, so I just kind of wanted to illustrate that because you can't really get that on the on-water perspective. So you can see the nose of the board is pretty wide. As you can see the tail, especially compared to some other all-around boards anyway that have similar dimensions, the tail is actually fatter. So that helps you give you a little bit of extra stability. And you can see that the board doesn't taper as aggressively as some others, like for example the Newport, just off my brain there. And you can see as well the full deck pad, which is great for SUP yogis, especially great for dogs as well. And one thing I do want to mention is that Gili, for every purchase of this board, Gili donates a whole bunch of dog gear like leashes, toys, treats to dog rescue centers, which I think is amazing. I love dogs myself, so just another reason to get this board. It's beginner friendly, they donate to dogs, they're an environmentally conscious company, so well done to Gili for that. All right guys, so unfortunately I think we're gonna kind of skip the speed test with this one today. It's too bad because I literally just bought a Garmin watch that measures speed specifically for this, but the reason why I'm not measuring it is because the tide is pushing me and the readings will just be flawed. I need like a flat water area where there's not a lot of disturbance, and this will flaw the readings every which way essentially. So instead I'm just going to tell you my impressions. So what are my final impressions of the Gili Komodo 11? I like it. Similar to the Atoll board, this is actually the earliest I've tested a paddle board ever, so the water is chilly, hence why I have a wetsuit on. and you know, all the safety gear. But I overall liked it. As soon as I stood on the board, it felt stable. 32.5 inches width. So to bring a little bit of context to that, not all the numbers are necessarily the same. That same 32.5 inch width for example, the Blackfin Ultra CX doesn't feel nearly as stable as this. Mind you, it is a bit of a shorter board at 10'6", but it just kind of shows you that the shape of the board is very important. It should be something that you look at just equally as much as the actual width, because the width is measured from the center, but it doesn't take into account how gently the board tapers or doesn't taper. So yeah, overall, I think the main purpose people would buy this paddleboard is for stability. So it's a great board for beginners. This would be an awesome board to learn on for larger SUP yogis, or even smaller ones, to be honest. And of course, if you want to use the kayak kit, that's just a bonus for this, honestly. It works pretty well. Out of the limited amount of kayak kits that I've tested with the boards, I did like this one quite a bit. I just have to get the footrest on properly. I didn't really have it on the right setting for my feet, so a lot of time I was actually seated like a SUP yogi. But I did like that little booster seat that comes with the actual kayak seat. Helps you sit up a bit, and it actually keeps a bit of the strain from your back, which is ideal. Yeah, overall great board. I do like the functionalities, like it's a good amount of deck webbing here. I love typical Gili paddle holders. I like that they have all these nubs, although I do kind of wish that they made these D-rings instead of actual nylon, because it's a bit harder to clip the footrest onto those as opposed to the D-rings. The D-rings, super easy, clips on like that. But these nylon things, it's a little bit tougher because you have to fiddle with it and you have to get it right into the thing. I was in a little bit of a hurry to film this, to be honest, so I didn't have the perfect setting, but it was good. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy with this board. I might lend this to my dad, actually. I don't think he's ever actually paddled on a paddleboard, so might lend it to him and he could learn paddling on here. There he is right over there with the camera. All right, hope you enjoyed this review. We're gonna be having more content out this year, especially more reels, more videos. So if you found this video helpful, like and subscribe. If you actually wanna buy the paddleboard, I'd super duper appreciate it if you clicked the link in the bio, bought it through my affiliate site. It comes at no extra charge to you, but does help me continue doing what I'm doing, to do all the tests so that you guys don't have to. And risking my life in February. Just kidding, of course. But yeah, like, subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a great day. More content to come.